Not yet, not yet. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the YMA Chad podcast, videocast, childhood, early development, discussion, and development. And tonight we are going to discuss how martial arts can benefit early childhood development. And I'm here with Mr. Yarwood of Yarwood's Martial Arts. And we're excited to create a conversation with you that really has us start to look and see how are we developing our youth and what ways. It seems like the school system is letting us down and failing us. So what are some of the things that may be out there in the marketplace that we haven't thought about? And I contend that martial arts is one, and so does Mr. Yarwood. So that's what tonight is about. And I do believe it's episode number 89.
Nope. Oh, wait. 89. Yeah, I think so. I lost track. I thought we were on 90, but I missed.
Not yet.
Almost.
So over to you, Mr. Yarwood, to kick it off.
Let me just start with saying I am not a trained child psychologist, development, none of that stuff. I am trained in life experience. 16 years of teaching 4 to 7-year-old kids, plus I had my own child for however old he was in those couple years. So my experience comes with actual interaction with kids and how they respond to the training that we give them, how we interact with their parents, and how we train their parents to be able to interact with their kids on these levels. I have, it's anecdotal, but it's a lot of it. So I'm a true believer in starting your kids as young as you can, teaching them about, we call them life skills, right? Or their virtues, or whatever you want to call them, and getting them to understand at their level how these things work, how they operate, how they use them in life, and like at school, at home, in Taekwondo, all these things, and how I believe how you treat them, how you speak to them, how you interact with them really affects them in how they develop into, younger kids and then teens and onward. And with us, we call it our Little Dragons program. It's our 4 to 7-year-olds, and we don't treat them like little kids in the fact that, they're not just, we don't just go let them do whatever and be little kids and interact with each other on that social level. While we do have some of that, we set expectations for them, which they always meet. And the higher the expectations you set, the higher they're going to go. So if you set them way down low and treat them like what you think a 4-year-old should be treated like, that's what they're going to be like, right? We treat them, when we talk to them, we set their goals as you want to be in the big kids class, which starts at 7 years old. We start that right away, right? We want you guys to be in the big kids class and hanging out with the big kids and doing what the big kids do. And we treat them as such, right? Honestly, they respond to it very well. The little kids that age are a lot more intelligent than we give them credit for. They learn a lot of stuff very quickly. And like when we teach them the life skills, like right now we're doing attitude. Attitude is the way you act, right? We ask a little kid, hey, can you tell me what attitude is? And they don't just say the way you act, which is cool anyway, but then they tell us about what a good attitude is, what a bad attitude is, what happens to them and others around them when they have a bad attitude, what happens to them when they have a good attitude, how mom and dad react and respond to them when they have a bad attitude versus good attitude. So they understand it. They don't just repeat it. So we talk to them at their level that they can grasp the concept of what attitude is, or whatever the life skill happens to be, so that they can actually tell us what it means in more than just a phrase repeated back to us. And when you start talking to them that way, they actually start thinking that way, right? Versus just saying, attitude is the way you act. What does that mean? I don't know. You just told me to say it. I just repeat it, right? When we ask them the question, what is it? What does having an attitude mean, right? They'll tell you, and they'll explain it to you, which tells me they're thinking about it and they comprehend it and they understand it. And when you start getting them at that level to understand things, and obviously they don't understand it the way adults do because they're not adults, but they get an expansion of what we would normally think that kids that age would understand, because we think kids are just, we talk to them like little kids, like, however you want to talk to them. When we speak to them like they're growing up, right? We don't coddle them. We don't, oh gosh, that's such a good, whatever. How we do it is we treat them like they're older than they are, because they're going to be older than they are very quickly, and they're going to get there. So how we interact with them, how we start talking to them and dealing with them and having expectations of them, they respond very quickly and very well to it. And parents see it. They talk to us about it all the time, how they act at home, how the kids they're doing the stuff they're supposed to do without mom and dad having to actually tell them, because they know they're supposed to, right? Or how they act at school. Teachers, we get notes constantly on the cards that we send to the teachers about how awesome the kids are in class and how much they see their leadership and all this other stuff that they're learning at our school and that mom and dad are reinforcing at home. So we like I said, it's anecdotal, but there's a lot of it. We got years and years and years of anecdotal evidence. And we have kids who've grown up to become teenagers and adults that still talk about what they did in the martial arts and what they learned from us. So that tells me that it's following them even when they leave the martial arts and go out into real life.
And for me, as a user and a subscriber, right, I see the impact and what I would call ripple effect that happens throughout martial arts. Are there schools that are not as good as others? Of course there are, just like anything. And some of the bad schools, the ones that are all about fighting and fight, dominate. That's how they are in their classes when they're teaching and training. So their students are part of what I would call that edge that is out there, those students that are what people talk about. Well, I don't want my kid to have a negative attitude or get into fights because they get cocky or they're ego driven.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there are several schools out there that is their objective. Never back down, always fight. I think that the premise inside of, at least in Yarwood's martial arts studio, is how to fight to not fight.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're teaching some of the self-defense classes, get up and run away.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That our number one rule when you're doing self-defense is to be safe. Get away, right? If you find an opportunity to run, take it. There's no need for you to engage in anything, right? You do what you did, do the most you need to do in order to get out of that situation and get to a safer place. That's what we teach. And if that takes physical altercation, that's fine, but it's not to the point where if you knock a guy down that you jump on and start punching him. You knock him down, you run away, you go, right? Because we teach them, like, you don't like being bullied, but if you push somebody down and then jump on top of them, now you're the bully, and you don't want to be the bully, do you? And they're like, no. So they understand what that means. They get it. It's not fighting, it's defending, protecting.
Yeah. Very well put. Yeah. So, in tonight's conversation, one of the things that I think children are magnets for is some type of structure.
100%.
And if you talk to former gang members, from some of the big gangs out there, the really rough, tough skinheads, and I can't remember the name of them.
Crips, Bloods.
There you go. They will tell you that the biggest attraction was the fact that they'd be a part of a family, that they would fit in, and there was a process, there was a structure, there was a rigidity, there was a home feel. It's just like when you find the perfect job and you go in and you like the people you work with because they're doing similar work. You suddenly fit.
You're part of
something. That's how kids get into gangs. Same way. So to create, it's nothing new that we're telling you we're creating here in martial arts. I mean, it's a human condition. What I'm intending, and we can hear from Mr. Yarwood in a second here, what I'm intending is that you hear and see something that triggers, wow, it'd be great if my kid had that available. And if that's available by going to do martial arts, maybe we can create that as a powerful thing with our kids. And join. And join something that has so many positive impacts without the violence or going through some type of initiation.
Getting jumped in.
Yeah, exactly. So what are your thoughts, Mr.
And we've kind of discussed that part of it a little bit before. A lot of our kids don't fit in other places, right? They don't have friends, or they only have a few friends, and then they're an outcast in their school, or they're bullied, or they're socially awkward, or they're not good at sports, or whatever it is that makes them outside of the bigger group. They find martial arts, and they find a place where they're not only themselves, but they're part of a bigger group that accepts them for who they are. And there's no bullying, there's no snickering, no pointing, none of that stuff, right? It just doesn't exist. The way they treat each other, the way they hang out with each other, talk to each other, they're excited to see each other, right? It's a social place for kids too. And then social development is probably the most important thing that we give them, because they have an opportunity to make friends, to hang out outside of school with these kids that they met at Taekwondo. They're learning to be confident in themselves. They're learning to be able to speak up for themselves. They're learning to stand up for others. And there's all these elements of that they get built into them that they're not getting in school, that they're not getting anywhere else. They come to us. We had kids who come in and they don't even want to talk. They don't, because one part of what we do is yell, right? They barely talk. And then all of a sudden, 3 months, 4 months down the line, they're yelling. They're the loudest kid in class, right? Because they built up that confidence. They feel good about who they are. People are treating them positively. They're being friends with them. They're hanging out with them, and they mean it, right? It's not just because you're here, we have to be nice to you. It's we're glad you're here. We hope you stay. Be part of our family, right? And that part of that development is huge for kids, especially kids who are shy, who just they don't fit into anything else. They fit in at our school. Plus, they get all the physical development that they're looking for as well.
So with that, one of the three things here, one of the is to look, what is the big picture? What is it that you're looking to accomplish? What is it you are looking to accomplish as a parent? How do you see yourself as a parent molding and developing and offering opportunities for your kids? And what does it look like? Are you so busy that you can't, therefore, to be able to do something like this, have them participate in a martial arts class? Oof.
Yeah, I think as parents, we got to realize that those kids are our priority. Everything we do is for them. We go to work every day for our kids, for our family. We go to, their events. We do all this stuff. It's everything we do in life is wrapped around those children and developing them into resourceful adults, citizens who go out into the world and make a difference, right? That's our job. And sometimes that takes sacrifice. And I think there's this, with the onslaught of iPads and iPhones and all that stuff, that sacrifice isn't there anymore because I just hand my kid an iPad and he can play until I can go get my work done. It's like, well, you're handing over that kid's future literally in that iPad because everything he's learning on there, everything he's seeing, digesting, that's who he's becoming because that's where he's learning everything from. You aren't interacting with him or her to teach them your values that you see in life, that you've experienced. You're not pouring into them. You're letting some object teach your child about life. And then down the road, you can't figure out why your kid's a pain in the butt, causing trouble and doing stuff, and you can't figure it out. It's like you are the reason that they are like that. The kid didn't develop that on their own. They learned it from somewhere, right? And if they're not learning about life from you, they're getting it from somewhere else. And when that happens, when you turn that over, you're not sacrificing for the child that you brought into the world, that you dedicated your life to. And when you shirk your duties somewhere else, you don't have the right to complain about what that kid is becoming and what he's doing and won't listen to you and won't do what he's supposed to do, and he's doing terrible in school and he's fighting and he's getting in trouble. That's on you. You created that, and it's important that you have to make sure you are devoting as much time as you can to your child, even if it's just spending time with them, just being present with them. That's so important and so vital to their development. And then when you can add something like coming to Taekwondo into the mix where we're becoming a team member and we're helping support that child as well and giving you some tools to be able to do things, that's even better. We go the next level, or you join the class yourself and learn all the same stuff right along with them and take it with them out into the real world. There's so many levels and layers to it that it doesn't take much. Really, it doesn't take much more than what you're already doing to really spend time with your kids. You need to find the time because it's vital to them.
So them seeing you create something like this also gives them an experience where they see that you care. And I think more and more today, we live in such a fast-paced environment. Marketing is driven. You're awake, work.
Mm-hmm.
If you're awake, work.
Yeah.
And so many millionaires that I bumped into or talked to, the quality of their life outside of their work The quality, yeah. Emotional regulation and self-control is the other one. I look and I remember I was Dennis the Menace. I was out of control as a kid. And I look, neither of my parents, they were both former military, but neither of them did martial arts. And I look, yeah, hindsight, of course, hindsight's 2020. I look at what is being provided at Yarwood's martial arts studio, and I think of, oh my gosh, I would have been set straight so many times. And where I'd be today.
Yep.
And I of course, hindsight's 2020 and all of that. I just look at it though. This wasn't even on my parents' bandwidth, right? I joined the swim team because swimming was a thing that was on the bandwidth. And they're like, dude, you have too much energy. You're going to go do some sport. Which one do you want to do?
Yeah.
And, when it came down to it, price-wise, swimming was the cheapest.
Yeah. It's just a bathing suit and a hat piece. You're good to go.
Hockey was super expensive. And soccer was still, cleats were way more expensive than a swimsuit or a pair of goggles.
Yep.
So, and practice was twice a day, in season. Well, no other sport had that. So, yeah. I look and I really can see how being in the and I guess I brought up other sports because it is one of the things that in the right environment, being in athletics of some sort, team-based sport, can really mold who you are going into the future. And I think that it's super powerful. And here I think, and I just thought of this, martial arts, you can ride your bike there. You could walk there.
Yep. We got kids and families who actually do that. They're close enough. That's what they do.
And that is, when you think about it, the ability to, wow. I mean, it just builds a whole nother level.
Yeah.
A whole nother level.
Yep. Yeah. Our youngest, our little dragons are, I mean, you come in and watch them.
Little dragons are 3 to 5, right?
4 to 7.
4 to 7, sorry.
Yep. And if you'd come in and watch that class, you would see some amazing things. They listen, they respond, they do what they're told. There's no issues with, I mean, obviously they're kids, so you're going to have some squirreliness, but in general, they answer loudly. They run to where they're supposed to go. They have their coordination is like exponential from class to class practically. We're doing jump front kicks where these kids have to jump off of one leg and kick with the other leg, right? 4-year-old kids doing this, right? They're running backwards full speed. They're I mean, just these things that you'd think that little kids are going to struggle with. They're skipping, which is a challenge for kids that age. And it's just, there's so many things that they're beginning to do and getting actually pretty good at as young little minds, right? They're starting to figure all this stuff out. And just all that stuff, even the physical coordination is huge for them because it helps develop their mind as well, because they're teaching their body how to do something that's very challenging at their level, right? like their gross motor skill stuff is that's where they are, and you start to build those fine motor skills. It's amazing how quickly they develop once they've done that. It's awesome to see. And they're
And
doing some things that, like, when you're teaching adults struggle with.
and the other thing is, it gives you an opportunity to teach them about this
Yeah.
as well, like being responsible. That, look, this is it costs money to be here,
Yep.
and with some of the things that you do throughout the year, fundraising and for Yarwood's YMA legacy, sorry, those, all of that, I think, is another layer of
Yep.
that early childhood development, people seeing those that are well-to-do or better off than others contributing to the livelihoods of others.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you do that? All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I got excited.
And that's the whole thing, like with our our purple stripe, it's the community service stripe, right? These kids are learning to give back, even if they only have a little bit, but they're learning how to give back without the expectation of something in return, right? They're doing it because it's the right thing to do, because they want to do it, not because they have to do it. It starts out at first, obviously it's a requirement, but it turns into this, what I want to do this time, what am I going to do as my project, right? They start thinking about those things, and now they're expanding their beyond what I've taught them, right? Because now they're thinking, they see something, I can go do this, I can go help here, I can go do that, and they start to love doing it, right? And we've even had some parents come like, goodness gracious, we're constantly doing stuff now that we never did before, because so-and-so wants to go, they want to go to feed my starving children, they want to go pick up stuff in the park. I mean, just like, they're like driving us nuts with this stuff now. It's a good thing, right?
It really is, because I look and see, it's not, can we go sit in front of a TV and play a video game?
Yeah. Yep.
It's starting to see, when they go on one of these events and they help somebody, here's a total stranger, a grown adult, that, to say thank you, says, can I give you a hug? And gives you a hug.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, like we do the Toys for Tots, kids they just donate. Like every day, we had one kid this year, like at least twice a week, come in with something, right? It wasn't just a one-time thing. Like, they would bring toys in. We filled up 4 boxes full of toys. We had, I think, close to 400 toys this year, right? We do the breast cancer stuff in October, and these kids buy these belts and wear them proudly. Like, can I wear my pink belt? Like, of course, right? And then that money is going, and then they get to see the person and meet the person who that money is going to be benefiting, right? And then they get to see the end result of what they're doing by raising that money and buying those belts and wearing them. So they're experiencing all these things, this feeling of giving and helping. And when they see that and they get to be part of it, they want to do more of it.
Well, and they see the result, and I think you hit a nail, kind of on the head there. They see other people doing it, and they see those people getting the positive results out of it, hearing what their parents say to them, hearing what their peers say to them, hearing what their friends say to them, and the energy with which it seems to imbue them.
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing.
I love my job.
There you go. There you go. Love your job, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yep. So
with that, we have hit the 30-minute mark.
I think we can get into this again next week too. This was there's still a lot of stuff on here we can talk about.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Because I think there's some stuff to bring into this with a little bit of pepper and seasoning, and that is, your attention to detail, your attention to intentions with homework. That's all part of this game.
Yep.
It really is. So,
yep.
Thank you.
It's fun because a lot of these kids don't even realize that they're learning this stuff.
Yeah. And until it's like, oh, wow, that was easy. It's like, well, let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you heard Mr. Yarwood say, from episode number 90, we're going to come back next week, and we're going to fly into some of the remaining topics, a little bit more outlying. Boundaries of what some people would say, well, why do I need that? I that doesn't impact me. That's in a different country. Why would I need to get involved? I don't need to. I can live in my bubble. So we're going to undo a bubbles next week. All right. Thank you, Mr. Yarwood, once again.
Yes, sir.